Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming to watch. So I've got an update for you guys on basically the forecast for today, what we're going to be seeing throughout today with this main system here that's trying to get out of the Ohio River Valley and then eventually the Northeast. And so we're going to have some severe thunderstorms possible impacting the east coast of the U.S. And then we're going to be talking about just how there could be some leftover snow showers up here in the north central, and then these above average temperatures here for the eastern U.S. and this whole kind of area and boundary of the a boundary of warm air in the southern U.S. So we don't really have much to talk about right now because, as you can see, there's nothing much happening. Although you have that system that's going to be impacting pretty soon for the Northeast. So we're going to move on now to your alerts, and as you can see, that what we've got going on is we obviously have this severe weather statement, where this actually might be a freeze watch. That I think I was confused with this yesterday. This is actually a freeze watch that goes out for parts of northern Texas, northern Oklahoma, and then also parts of eastern Iowa, and then also northern Arkansas. So there's a little area of this, but it's mainly actually here in northern Illinois. So, there is a pretty high threat for some frost and some freezing conditions. As you can see, there's a huge area here under a freeze warning. This goes out for a lot of southern and southeastern Nebraska, the entire eastern half of Kansas, not quite Oklahoma, but I do think that there's a chance that this could actually stretch. This warning could stretch into parts of northeastern Oklahoma, pretty much all of Missouri, a lot of southwestern Iowa, and then that's pretty much it. But all these areas around you guys have a freeze watch. And then you have your severe thunderstorm watch that goes out, that stretches this like little area here of southern Pennsylvania, stretches into northern North Carolina, and then also the eastern border of it, or I should say the eastern the seaboard, and then you've also got parts of the coast of Georgia, or sorry, not Georgia, the parts of the coast of Virginia, and then also the Delmarva area, and then some parts of New Jersey. Now, I do think that there's a possibility that this could stretch into New York City, but I do think that the stronger storms, more severe potential, will definitely be farther south. Keep an eye on this too. You've also got a severe weather statement that goes out for the border, just along the border of North Carolina and Tennessee. So, any of you, included in the severe thunderstorm warning that's out in effect right now. I mean, that's for a specific storm, but those alerts for today in general, like those more long lasting alerts like the severe thunderstorm watch and the severe weather statement. If you're under that, that's telling you that you know you're likely to almost for sure going to be impacted by a moderate to strong thunderstorm. So it's definitely going to. It started out sunny, pretty sunny today, but it's gonna get cloudy and miserable pretty fast. So those are pretty much all of your alerts, and we're gonna now move on to, I believe these are the temperatures for across the country. So let me switch over here. And as you can see that, like I showed you guys here in the southern U.S., it's warm, but it's not. You do see some below average temperatures. That was 8 a.m. this morning. Then obviously the eastern U.S., the East Coast, is still hanging on to that warm front this afternoon, and that has sent temperatures really flying across the Northeast, the Mid Atlantic, and then the entire southern U.S. Because you can see here that the Northeast, you guys are seeing widespread 70s and upper 60s for most of you. So New York City, you guys are at a pretty nice 68 degrees today, and then a lot of you guys in the southern U.S. You guys are in an oven right now. It is extremely hot. Look at this. I know this isn't in the U.S., but I mean, look at this in Mexico. I don't even know. This might not be Mexico, but 104 degrees. I mean, it is springtime, guys. It is really warming up here. Tennessee, you guys are pretty much staying in the 50s and the lower 60s. Same thing for you guys in Arkansas. Louisiana, you guys are in the upper 70s. Same thing for Georgia, Louisiana. So Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, you guys are all kind of in the same temperature right now. Southern and southeastern Georgia, you guys are actually going to be getting into the upper 80s, or sorry, the lower 80s. Then the upper 80s will be off to the south. So up the Panhandle of Florida, you guys will probably be in the upper 80s today. Maybe a few of you will hit 90 degrees. And then central and southern Texas, you guys will be in the upper 70s and lower 80s. And then this part of southern, like the desert regions of Arizona, parts of southern New Mexico, you guys will be in the 80s and the 70s. Just depends on where your location is, because there's many, different climates for these parts of the states. So like northeastern Arizona is pretty cool right now, and then the southwestern part of Arizona is baking right now, and that's pretty similar to what we were seeing in New Mexico. It's just that New Mexico is completely divided in half. The southern half is warmer, and then the northern half is a little bit cooler. Then you guys in California, you guys are very nice. It's very nice out today. You've got some sunshine, and you've got temperatures ranging from the upper 60s, to the lower 80s. I mean, it is very hot. And then here along the border of Southern California and Arizona, you can see that you've got temperatures getting into the 90s. So overall, it's a very warm day for the southern U.S., and then the northern U.S., it's like the same story for many, many states. You're in widespread 40s and lower 50s, and we're just going to have to continue watching this pattern unfold across eventually the eastern states and then the northern states as well. Um, and then eventually tomorrow, something weird is going to happen. Tomorrow, we're actually going to see widespread, well below average temperatures in Texas, and the entire state is going to be kind of surrounded by warm air. You'll see everyone here in central Texas is in the 40s, maybe even the 30s for northern Texas here. But that's going to pose a very dangerous threat for, some frost and some frozen conditions out there. So you guys gotta make sure that you don't have any pipes bursting because it gets too cold. Because really it shouldn't be this cold during the springtime, and springtime is usually where these temperatures are typically in the 80s. Some people are in the lower 90s, and I mean, this is midday tomorrow, and you're in the 40s, struggling to get over 50 degrees for widespread areas of central, northern, parts of western, and eastern Texas. So, we're really going to see a very weird pattern, and that also goes out for southern Arkansas and northern Louisiana. So, the three states I just named, you guys are going to have a very weird day tomorrow, which could maybe bring some unsettlement in the atmosphere. So, watch out for a weird weather day tomorrow. But otherwise, it should be a pretty nice weekend for you guys, especially in the Northeast. You guys will be in the upper 50s, and parts of the Mid Atlantic will get into the 60s. Then you'll get a few shots of very cold air, well below average, and then it'll eventually heat up again. So we're now going to move on to the Northeast for kind of just looking at what these severe thunderstorms are going to be looking like. But this, like I said, this is going to be a lot farther south. So, like the interior parts of the Northeast, off to the west is where the biggest potential for severe storms is going to be. That's not too huge, but there is a potential for severe storms. Otherwise, it's just farther south than like the northern New Jersey, maybe including parts of New York City. But we're going to break all this down for you. So at 9 p.m. You did have some pretty strong to severe storms impacting parts of North Carolina and Southern Virginia. But the main part of this, the low pressure center, this is just on the borderline of northern Pennsylvania and southern New York State. But none of these none of these rainfall bands seem to be forming any type of thunderstorm. I mean, this is really not showing up on the HRRR until probably 1 to 2 p.m. today. And then this main line of storms actually moves out into Canada. But then there's a tiny piece, like another connection of storms that may form its own low pressure system right around 3 p.m. today. So that's actually just 24 minutes ago. But these storms look so much more strong and, a lot more, like stabilized than what we saw here in southern Canada. But I mean, these are really going to be charging towards the coastal regions of the northeastern U.S. So if we saw the same picture like what we're seeing on the HRRR now, you'd think that New York City's gonna get slammed tonight. Because look at this huge line of storms, and it's almost as if it's impossible for these areas right here to miss these severe storms. But it's possible. It's because meanwhile, there's a cold front bossing this thing around, pushing it off to the east. Now, this cold front is going to catch up to the system right where it hits New York City. So that's just going to drop the severe weather potential and it's going to almost completely weaken these thunderstorms. So, this circled area, well, I mean, if I cut it in half, if I move it over here and I just cut it in half, the eastern half, so talking about right here, is going to have a lot less, potential for severe storms tonight. And then the western half is where the severe storms are likely. So, where I'm going to erase all this and then show you guys the rest of the HRRR for this, and you could see that they do get very strong just before entering Long Island and New York City. But then that cold front finally matches up with it, and maybe like around maybe in the middle of the night tonight, you'll have a few extreme bands of rainfall and maybe some thunderstorms that will move through Long Island, but only the western part. So if I had to cut Long Island in half, I would say this half here of Western Long Island has the biggest potential for seeing thunderstorms tonight. And then the eastern half, well, it's probably going to come in as some, moderate to heavy rainfall, but you shouldn't have any, thunderstorms to deal with unless you're living just off the, around Mont, Montauk, you know, just these Montauk, just these areas that are like extreme eastern Long Island, and then just north of that, so just north of the Long Island Sound, like Connecticut, and then parts of Rhode Island. You guys will see those. You guys will see those thunderstorms just because there's warmer waters out here, so that re-strengthens these storms just to give itself a little bit more energy. And then this is going to be very slow moving. It takes a few days to get this system out. This is already, this is like, uh, I believe this would be Monday, and you're still seeing precipitation in Maine, and then backside precipitation here in Vermont, New Hampshire, and then New York State. But otherwise, I mean, today will be pretty nice for the Northeast. But the western half of the Northeast, you guys will definitely be dealing with these thunderstorms. But most of these thunderstorms will be impacting the coastal regions at night. So we're going to move on to the Southeast, and we're just going to be looking at what's in stock for you guys. So let me refresh this because the latest HRRR model just came out. And as you can see, that you're pretty much, you're pretty much done with these storms and not much to talk about here. You've got a high pressure center located right here in Kansas. Then otherwise, everyone's completely dry. And then this system is off to the east, and yeah, I mean this is going to move out maybe once it crosses the border of North Carolina and South Carolina. This will re-strengthen, and you may have some discrete cells possible, but the worst that's going to happen is that you'll have some damaging wind gusts and some fairly large hail. Sorry about the background noises. My sister is playing her trombone, so it may be a little loud at times. But you can see that these storms will actually make it just off the border of North Carolina, but they will pack a punch. I mean, I think that you will definitely have somebody in here. Somebody in here is going to see a wind gust over. Sorry, that was terrible. That circle. But someone in that kind of vicinity is going to see a wind gust over 50 miles an hour. I do think so, and I think the tornado threat is going to be very low, especially for this system, just because tornadoes are a lot more likely showing up in the 20 year of 2023, a lot more likely farther farther west. So I think the damaging wind threat is definitely going to be higher for this because you'll also have a squall line forming. So it's very interesting to see what these storms will do tonight. And then when are these storms going to be the strongest? Well, probably 11, 9 to 11 to maybe even 12 tonight. And then once we get into the overnight hours in the middle of the night, we'll start seeing the stronger storms, but off the coast. So, regardless, I just think that we will definitely see some possible strong to severe thunderstorms, but mainly around the coastal regions of the Carolinas and then maybe parts of Georgia and Virginia. Otherwise, it should be pretty moist, and then maybe some later precipitation, but a lot farther off to the west, and that is for tomorrow. So we're not going to be looking at your severe weather percentages, and you can see that we're up to a slight risk. I don't think this has changed too much from yesterday. We do have a marginal risk that has been stretching into now parts of New York State and then also parts of the panhandle of Florida. Slight risk goes out for total population of just over 23.5 million people, including major cities like Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Virginia Beach, and Raleigh, North Carolina. And then that marginal for San Antonio, Jacksonville, Florida, Austin, Texas, Orlando, Florida, and Durham, North Carolina. But otherwise, it shouldn't be too bad. The tornado threat, 2%, not really going to cover that. And then the 15% risk for that wind threat, that's for the same area as that slight risk. But then the hail, this is the damaging hail I was talking about. There is a hatch risk, but that is for south central Texas, and so you shouldn't have a too high risk for damaging hail for the southern east coast. And then tomorrow you shouldn't have much going on as well. So we're now just going to be looking at the north central as there is a potential for some snow squalls. I'm going to run through this pretty fast just to show you guys, what's what. But these tiny pockets and, like, I don't want to say blobs, but areas of very heavy snow, these are all snow squalls. And these are going to be scattered across the north central tonight, this evening, into tomorrow. And that's just because of all this backside precipitation from this system. This is finally going to diminish once we get into the overnight hours of tonight, and then this will actually try and come back tomorrow morning, and then those will also diminish. But once you get into the afternoon and morning hours of tomorrow. So that's going to wrap up the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any, like, share, comment, and subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel. And we'll see you guys in the next update. So we'll continue watching this severe weather, but it shouldn't be too bad, and enjoy your day.